As I was at high school in my sort of, I guess, last few years, um, like I was just doing what most normal kids do. So nothing like super rebellious or anything, but because I was kind of raised like real, I guess conservative, is a good way to put it. And like there was like a religious aspect to it as well. Like a lot of things were no goes that were normal sort of rite of passage for a lot of normal kids, and so I was just doing those things, like just rite of passage kind of things. You rebel a little bit. Like coming from this like conservative background, I wasn't allowed to go to um, functions and things that had to do with people not of my religious background and not of the same beliefs and the same value base and moral base and that kind of thing, which I totally got from their point of view, but my morals weren't there, and I wasn't too like I wasn't really feeling that, and so I like sort of rebelled against that and just did my own thing, but where it sort of got complex and I was like that arsehole teenager kid was that my parents had no clue. And so I was like doing, smoking ciggies, like hanging out with friends after school, and just a normal thing, but they never knew where I was or what I was doing, and always thought that it was something like way more wholesome than what it actually was, and probably contributing to my growth and development when I just totally hid that from them. And then this time, I guess, when I was like 17, sort of getting to the stage where in their religion it's like not pushed, like you're not born into the belief and just have it, like it's a conscious decision to buy into it and sort of dedicate your life to it. And I was like, it's not for me, but I hadn't told them that. And they slowly sort of over the years heard about bits and pieces, like from people who'd seen me hanging out with like various crew and doing whatever sort of behind their back, like had got to them. It got to this one point where I was like still sort of spending time learning about their faith and really like reading a lot into it and educating myself, and as far as they were concerned, like that was sort of the path I was going to take when I decided like I had to tell them. But the way I told them was in like the roughest way. Like I just pretty much went, I'm not going to do what you're wanting me to do. I like really dig this chick who is now my wife, which is dope, like 12 years later. But anyway, like really dig this chick. I want to have an 18th birthday party, which is not something that their like faith does. Wanted to do things that, like I said, was just normal things for a lot of other people, but that was what resonated with me, and I like, now I've got to tell you. And they were like, nah, because my dad sort of held a certain rank in the church, and they felt that condoning that or allowing that would be a reflection on him. So he was like, nah, not in my house, like you can't have it. And it was like real heated, and ended up like the elders of the church came to like try and really reason through my decision making, which from their point of view is totally like, now in hindsight, totally understandable. It's your kid has just like thrown this on you. He's made a decision that you have had no clue about for the last like 5 years of him doing whatever he's doing, that he's just thrown it on you and said he's doing it, and within this time frame. Like I want an 18th, and it was like it happened at the beginning of November 2000, because November 7th it all kind of came to a head, and I was like, it all kind of came to a head because November 7th was the day that I'm like, nothing more that you do is going to work. They'd heard all these like lies from me, I guess, of where I said I was, what things that I wasn't really doing, and then I just threw it on them. They're like, "No, can't happen. Can't have you in this house." And so made that call like to let me go, because I'm like, cool. Well, if that's my only option, then I'm going. So I can't say kicked out because I wasn't like told to leave. I was given the option: if you stay, you have to be like this, or if you go, you've got to be like this. And I'm like, well, if they're my only two options, then I'm going. So I say kicked out, I say left home. It's all like grey around that. But I was given an ultimatum, and that was like real rough because I kind of had nowhere to go. It was cool, like this girl that I was kind of cool with at school, I came and picked me up and looked out for me for a couple of nights, and then what sort of happened straight after that was where I kind of felt a bit lost and had a lot of kind of things that I feel were hard go on. So like I had no place to stay, and I didn't feel right overstaying my welcome at this girl's house who'd like pick me up. And so for a few nights what I did, because I packed my things when I left home, and so like I'd taken a blanket, I'd taken a sleeping bag, all that kind of stuff to keep warm. And this girl came to pick me up, and I'd stayed at her place for a couple of nights, which was cool. And then I didn't want to overstay my welcome, so I like went down to like Frankston Beach, and like a little bit off to the side of it there was like a bunch of rocks, and I like pretty much like slept there for quite a few nights. So it's just early November. It was cold, but like bearable when you're wrapped up. And I just sort of knew my parents' schedule, so when they were out of the house, like I'd go home, like ransack the pantry, charge my phone for an hour, like all that kind of stuff, just maintenance, and then get out. And just because I knew when they weren't going to be home, because they had all these like regular commitments. And so I did that, and then from there it was just a real big shake up, because I found out that all the friends that I sort of grew up with, who I was real tight with and were just my mates, decided that they weren't going to talk to me anymore because they were of that faith, like my parents' faith. And so within like the span of a month, I lost like contact with my parents, my brother, my grandmother, all of my friendship group, and like I was never really tight with anybody at school apart from like a group of maybe 3 or 4, maybe 5 people. And so and still then it was like quite selective, because my parents didn't encourage just hanging out, so it had to be whenever I could fit it in and manage to hang with them. So I couldn't rely on them yet, and then I found that I could, out of one, which was my wife, which was dope. And she sort of came good, and really helped to sort me out and put me back on my feet. So that's just a time that was like a real big thing in my life, that the one true friend sort of came out of it, that I'd known for like how X amount of time, wasn't super tight with, that has now become my best friend, which is rad.